Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Warsaw, Poland for the Wargaming.net League Grand Finals. Now getting close towards the end of the day, and it's been an epic one, to be sure. Still some members of the faithful in the crowd, of course, after we saw our friends the Lemming Train qualify. People may have just dwindled a little bit, but we still have plenty of people in the audience, so thank you for staying with us. Let's have a look at what we've got so far in Group B. We're almost to the end of it now, but we can see we are coming out with a decider. So it's going to be Red Rush Unity going up against NOA. Unfortunately, UAD and Energy Pacemaker have had to bow out, so sorry to those guys. It's been a pleasure to have them here on the stage, but it is going to be a rematch here between, of course, the Russians and the South Koreans, and what an important one it is for NOA. They've got the measure, we at least hope so, of Red Rush. They got that first game on Himmelsdorf, and now it's up to them to see if they can carry it through to a series victory. Anyway, for a little bit more of an in-depth look at this matchup, we head over to our experts at the analysis desk. Clutch, let's do it.
Thank you, Uber. All right, gentlemen, NOA again. We've seen them perform multiple times today. A lot of people seeing them for the very first time outside of South Korea in a World That Takes esports environment. Even Fall, Sihu Papa, LB Candy, Red Bull, High Nero, Artie World, I think are some names that are not going to be forgotten too easily here, especially with that one win they had against Red Rush Unity. However, the advantage of surprise is now gone from NOA, especially with that unorthodox type of tactics that we saw in the first season they had against the Red Rush, but the Red Rush still does not want to discount them or underestimate them, and Red Rush Unity has performed very well so far, the #2 team coming out of Russia. Let's look at NOA a little bit more in depth when it comes to their stats and the storylines that they bring. Creativity, still lacking a little bit, but aggressiveness, accuracy, not too bad. Decision-making could be a little bit better. However, this is judgment based on the best of the best. We are having these teams go up against Na'Vi, to go up against Virtus Pro, to go up against now Lemming Train, who's one of the favorites here because not only are they the home team, but they perform very well, exceptionally well.
And they deserve their place, definitely.
They do. Oh, they do. And Simp was narrowly there as well. But take a look at, these different players. Sihu Papa, we keep seeing his name pop up over and over and over again because of his placement. Now, we don't have the stats coming from him exactly, but I want you guys to take a look at his positionings in every single game. A few times he's been caught out in the open, a few times he's been focused, but I feel that he is one of the best damage dealers on their team because he plays a solo role.
Yeah, he's placed the 1390 and 5100 most of the time, so he's one of the carry players and main damage dealers for his team. So, yeah, of course, one of the carries.
He's also one of the risk takers because he goes first. Yeah. So he takes the hit sometimes and gets shot.
Sometimes you get better stats if you can do the more damage. But it is a tough position to be in because if he is such an integral part of the team, especially in a 5100, they get caught out. That is a huge deficit, and we've talked about that many times today. All right, Red Rush Unity, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of you familiar with this team. Looking at the stats once again. Aggressive, yes. Accurate, yes. Fight coordination, yes. Decision-making. They have a lot of all-stars on their team. They have a lot of the individuals that are really, really good. And you gentlemen, we were talking about this along with hockey. There is also a hockey team called Unity that kind of has the same...
No, actually, I was calling to the Russian national team, because they usually have really good individuals in the team, but they are not always the best team. Yeah. So I think it's like
we made the comparison of Unity compared to the national Russian team, and that can happen a lot in World of Tanks. You have individuals that are phenomenal when it comes to the game, but the cohesion as a team can be a little bit lacking. However, Red Rush Unity has been working just fine with the opponents they've had so far. They have one more series to go through, maybe two if Noah's able to get this. Let's take a look at the Anatolik and his stats. First off, average damage per game, not too shabby, guys, 2.31K. Kill death ratio, almost to 4, 3.81. 6K on his personal account. I'm sure he has many accounts there in the Russian and European clusters, but I have to say, if there's another player I'm definitely going to look forward to watching this series, it's going to be the Anatolik.
He's an overall guy. He can play virtually anything needed. He's placed on the positions that are most critical for his team, and he performs. So he's like kind of an anchor of the team, and he's one of the oldest members. Kapi and he are the only ones that are left from the start. So we already said 29 changes in the team, and they two are the only ones that survived everything.
Now, one of the players we were talking about beforehand, you said he changes teams as many times as he changes sacks.
That would be a Diodor. He plays everything but scouts. He originally came from the team called New Stark, who won the second place in the first season, the very season where Na'Vi almost fell out. But they were placed second that team fell apart and they went in various teams and they made them richer all. So Diodor plays heavy tanks mainly, mediums, and he's, of course, really good at that. He's one of the stars of the team, and he's one of the youngest players they have.
Red Rush Unity wins the coin toss. You see our admin in charge of the map vetoes. The bet is still going, gentlemen. Will Steps be a map that is played? I know you want that ice cream. Evan Fall, the representative of NOA.
There goes the ice
Steps
cream.
is gone. All right. No ice cream for you guys. Still plenty of maps that can be chosen for the veto system here.
There is less manpower needed now for map pick 6.
Less manpower from Red Rush Unity. They only need 2 this time. We could be translating for them. We'll have to ask them, because when you have a committee that makes decisions, sometimes it's not the best idea compared to one leader making the decision. Ruinberg and Mines, the next 2 maps that are vetoed. Waiting for the final map.
Prokhorovka, yeah. Both teams like to play aggressive time to time, so Prokhorovka is...
and nice call, gentlemen. Yeah. Ends Cliff and Himmelsdorf. Now we're going to find out the order in which these maps are played. First map choice looks like goes to Red Rush Unity for the 3rd play.
Interesting to see the Himmelsdorf. Will the Unity fold the unorthodox play again, or have they learned something?
I think Unity will stick forces a bit more closer this time.
Yeah, well, and Cliff is going to be the 3rd map.
Actually, it would be awesome to see 4 ice trees in the Himmelsdorf from Unity, and they're surprising the NOA.
That's always fun
NOA.
to watch.
Yeah.
4 IS3s.
4 IS3s, because with 4 IS3s, if the enemy team has like 3 5100s, you can just go there and focus fire.
The alpha damage at least, but
because the alpha damage
bursts, I'd be more scared of the burst, especially in the mid game, that many. Especially if you bounce a shot or 2 off the IS3s. Himmelsdorf will be the 2nd map, and it's the 1st one.
Yeah, with the IS3s, if you can focus fire with 4 IS3s, 1 1500 at the time, they will pull up every time, because you have over 1600 alpha damage, and they only have 1400 HP, so you will have a guaranteed kill.
If all the shots land. If all the shots land.
From 1500, you are not going to bounce. So
I've seen some crazy things in this game, man.
You can bounce. It's all about positioning, and but in that scenario, you always use that 5100 as a flanker force who provides cover in their flanks. Yeah. So they're pushing forward, trying to progress, make a frontal fight. If they get flanked, they usually lose.
No handshake between Red Rush Unity and NOA. Could have been a language barrier there, or they just wanted to get the game started. There's Evan Fall again, team leader, explaining to them what the maps are and the positionings they're going to be taking. The positions they're going to be taking.
Actually, Koreans by etiquette don't like actually to shake hands if they don't have to. That's like something national.
When I'm a host, I make them shake hands because it's good manner, as they call it. But yeah, I mean, and when you do shake hands, you
bow a little.
Grab under your arm. All right, gentlemen. So Red Rush Unity is a team I feel that is a favored team.
Yeah, definitely.
In this scenario. You'd agree. You'd agree. United States of America would agree. I'm sure Russia would agree. But I actually find that to be fascinating against this team NOA. They can see that Red Rush Unity can bleed.
For NOA, it's time to take everything out from the sleeves and show what they have got.
Yeah.
Because they need to win at least 2 games and draw 2 games. That's at least what they have to do.
Let's talk about ENCE. Let's talk about ENCE and the type of creativity this team is going to need. Red Rush Unity probably is going to play, let's say they play slightly defensive. All right. KOA, or excuse me, NOA, push. Down the rails, get past the bottleneck that's down to the south or to the north, wherever they're going to go, and put pressure on the flag cap. Go for a fast flag cap. If you lose out, at least you're going to keep your opponents on their toes, and you can try to judge what the initial placements are on ENCE and see if there's going to be a pattern in another city map.
Yeah, that's a good point. Both teams had the aggressivity meter pretty high, so that might happen. And I actually hope that we will see aggressive plays now.
Yeah, we really haven't seen a lot of fast flag caps today.
Yeah.
And as we discussed UAD and NOA, how they had to wait for a while to try to figure out where their tanks were with those T1s. on, I think it was on Ensk, that first map that we saw. It was a little bit slow play between the two teams. I don't think it's going to be the same thing between Red Rush Unity.
I think Unity won't risk any kind of embarrassment as they would see it, a defeat now and falling out of the group. I think they will just go for their positions, see where NOA is, and then find a way to press.
Okay. Well, the final match of the night, ladies and gentlemen, NOA versus the Red Rush Unity. As a reminder, this is going to be a best-of-3 series. Red Rush Unity has the advantage, which means if they win this series, they move on. If NOA wins this series, then they will play another best-of-3 to determine who moves on in the tournament tomorrow and who goes home. The game is almost ready to go. Let's kick it on over to our commentators.
Thank you so much, Clutch. And it is great here from the actual analysis there as well. I actually really like having them on board with us. It's been a brilliant new addition to the team. And got to say, they've been bringing up some great points then. And the thing I want to see is now, how do Red Rush come into this one? Because I think they got a little bit surprised. They got a little bit taken back on that first map. I think most people would when you look back to Himmelsdorf. No one expected that kind of approach from NOA. And I also want to know your thoughts on, will NOA go back to that aggression that worked? Or will they a little bit of fear get a bit too much?
Yeah, I guess, that is the question on everyone's mind. And, I guess the question to counter that would be, is Unity prepared for NOA if they do that? NOA have been known as an aggressive team. We've seen that in the stats before the game. They like to go forwards, and it worked for them on Himmelsdorf. Maybe there's just some theory crafting going there. They knew exactly what Unity would be doing, and just, Red Bull again being in the right place at the right time. But, this is the second time these guys have played against each other. As you did mention previously, NOA won on Himmelsdorf, Mines and Cliff going quite decisively to the side of Unity.
Very much so.
Very, indeed, and that means, Unity go through the winners bracket, NOA coming up through that losers bracket. Yep. So you have to play 2 best-of-3s. You have to win 2 best-of-3s. Unity's already up 1-0. That means, obviously, NOA has to win 2 in a row to take this one. Unity only has to take the 1 to move through to tomorrow's games.
So give me your thoughts on the map pool. We've got Ensk, Himmelsdorf, and Cliff coming up. So basically, it's a lot of city maps in this one. It's pretty much all we have. Maybe you could rope Ruenberg in there, but Ensk and Himmelsdorf, that's a dangerous thing to be leaving in the mix here for Unity if they get put into that position again with NOA being able to rush. But maybe they think they've broken their spirits enough to feel secure here.
And, Unity wants to, if they can, try and practice some tactics, They've got a couple of maps to play around with. They've got 1 best-of-3 to play around with. So you might as well play all the maps and the ones you don't feel so confident on. And really get those tactics nailed down as much as possible. So Unity starting from the south, NOA starting from the north. And our first map will be Ensk, as you did mention. So I expect the aggressive push from the south from Unity up in towards that city, get that hold down position, and playing with the triple AMX 5100 double IS3, as is NOA.
So, completely mirrored lineup. So, on paper, or even aside from obviously the north and the south start, which do relatively have their own biases, but they're also very easily switched up. We've learned that don't take any biases into account these days, because Assault went a completely different way to what we expected. But outside of that, in the south, as you mentioned, the Red Rush Unity doing something we haven't seen yet today in this much commitment, at least. Yeah,
Caster's Curse. They're doing exactly the opposite of what I said they're doing. They're going to head over towards that green side. T1's going first, obviously, to clear the way, make sure there's nothing really rushing over there. And like RT, Lucy Kale, Rhino, all heading up forwards in the IS3s, the AMX 5100s. They're going to be trying just to get down towards the base as quickly as possible. That's what the 5100s are very, very good at. They're both reloaded now, so they'll be able to really pump out the damage. So Unity, very aggressive at the beginning, a little bit fragmented. You can see the IS3s, the slower tank, especially across more rough grounds, your soils and your grasses, as opposed to the 5100. They could just charge forwards, and you can see how aggressive RT and Anlich are. LB's towards the right, so they have to pay attention to the fact that he's probably going to get spotted. But this is NOA kind of being caught out a little bit, because they've got 2 Candy and RT World over towards the left, the 5100 and the IS3. But they're out of position, and if Anlich and RT push forwards, they will be able to take them down. But first blood to LB.
Yeah, NOA there picking up that first kill, as you mentioned. So only a tier 1 exchange, but this map can rely quite heavily on tier 1s on occasion, especially if that green zone is within use. You've got to keep tabs on it, and we've seen that go into play, and we've seen some brilliant play from M4 and LB so far, spotting out some vital moves from the Red Rush Unity, so maybe not as inventive as they thought. You know, not a lot of the Russians are all that inventive when it comes down to some of the strategies. They've drilled in, they're methodical, they're clinical, but they're not that creative, and at the moment it's being spotted, it's being worked out. So initial advantage to them, but we see this polarization towards the map now. It's starting to look a little bit like your Prokhorov, because we can always split it down the middle and be like, they're pretty much the same on either side. But you know, obviously the green zone and the city side are very different on this map. You know, it's a complete different kind of ball game as to where you are. We do see a little bit of an exchange, and it's pretty much all even now. Cappy does have a bit more damage, but still, he can still do the job here. But who's got the advantage? Has anyone?
Well, Cap has definitely done a very good job there. LB didn't really prioritize on that kill he did onto Nuclear, but he couldn't push forward because of Unity's present over towards the green side. But what Cap can do is he can sit up and look over the Cap in one of those bushes and make sure he has the line of sight for the whole of Unity. That allows them a little bit more, breathing room going forwards if they want to push into the Cap like we've seen before. Or even if they want to head backwards, they know they won't get surprised from behind, especially from that triple 50-100 lineup NOA is running with. But Unity, they're playing pretty... This is kind of reminds me of Warsaw and WCG, where they're kind of sitting back towards their base, a little bit fragmented, but kind of got every alley of attack blocked off.
Yeah.
You can see the 50-100 right up into K0, and that's actually behind a building, and that's going to be able to provide some real firepower. It's also high ground, so you can end up shooting down at the tanks that are pushing into the Cap.
So, to this point, generally, I feel as though we've seen fairly decisive first maps. Generally, see the teams going for the pick up the victory then. Do you think these two are playing into that sort of aspect, or do you think they're shying away maybe a little bit from that and they're playing a little bit safer now? Because obviously, in this, the Red Rush Unity are up a whole series. They're up a whole best of 3 in this one. So, NOA has a lot of work to do, and losing out on this first map just mentally would be near on endangering them in the tournament. Do you think that's maybe holding them back a bit?
Yeah, it could be. They definitely can't lose this series at all. But, you were talking about how these teams are shying away a little bit from that aggressive movement at the beginning, but then, Unity were aggressive at the beginning. They had that 50-50 option. They could push in towards the city, hope there's a tank into that D4 area like we've seen before, probably an IS-3, surround it with the 50-100s, take it out, or send the 50-100s up the 6-7 line at the railroads and maybe catch a tank on the rotate there. So that was the two options, obviously, and they went for the second, the latter, and it didn't pay off. There was no tanks there. Artiworld and Candy are still over towards that side. Cap that is doing exactly what he should be doing, spotting out and giving the Analytic a good line of sight if he can do some damage. So T1 being played perfectly by such an experienced player. As you mentioned, 29 in total, the change that they've had since Season 1, and Cap and the Analytic being the two that's really survived since that time. And, Unity is the team that's had so much history. These guys have been around since forever. They were formed at the same time as Na'Vi, a.k.a. the Red Rush team at Jin. And what a team that was. Pretty much the same team it is now. Obviously, Powerslide did head over from Unity towards Na'Vi, and it's just some history for you. There's a load of changes between the two teams. Obviously, Amelko played for Unity. Now he played for Team 1. So it will switch it backwards and forwards. There's plenty of history. And obviously, check that out if you do so wish on the ESL website. Artiworld trying to get some spots out onto Cap and Analytic, but obviously the houses and the bushes provide a lot of a cover for them, and he's just not going to have that line of sight. He's not going to have the view range to find those tanks.
So take me through the options that we may have now left for these guys. 4 minutes-ish left on the clock here. Both teams losing one tier 1. A little bit more damage done towards Unity, but they've had the more aggressive style, let's say. They took the reins and they ran with it. Now, where do the Red Rush's options lay compared to NOA? What can they do now from these positions to not just walk into the hands of the opponent? Or is there just not that many options?
Well, they've pretty much got one option. That's head up north and go for the Cap. Take down Candy, take down Artiworld. Fair enough. Use the remaining T1 Cap, head down south, see if you can spot out, maybe take down that tier 1, even fall down there, and he's going to die, but either way it's worth it because he's probably going to get killed by a tier 8, then you know where the tier 8 is.
Of course.
But pushing from the south up through the Cap is very hard to do indeed. You really have to commit to that because of the kind of crossfire you can expect, and NOA's perfectly prepared for that. You know, with those tanks around the square area, and you've got plenty of line of sight. You can shoot hull down. You've got an IS-3 there. It's almost impenetrable, almost invincible. So Unity have pretty much one option on the card. NOA have got a couple more because of the way the map's laid out. They've got a little bit more cover over towards the city side. They can either head up through the north, they'll get spotted by Cap, and Artie will probably end up doing some damage in the Analytic as well. Or they can just head through the south, go all into the Cap, maybe take down a couple of IS-3s, maybe put a couple of their 5100s just to the side and put their one tier 1 behind. So obviously Unity will have to commit 100% to take down that tier 1, and that could win them the game.
And at the moment, it's all theoretical, obviously, because we're not seeing a great deal of movement. Both teams not really wanting to risk much. As you said, you know, Unity don't have that many options. They have one that's fairly clear-cut and maybe a viable choice. And NOA not really looking like they want to take that first move. We saw, you know, a great success back in the first map when they played this opponent, but maybe they don't actually want to play this map too much. Maybe this is not where they feel comfortable. Maybe they want to see if, you know, Unity switched up to a more aggressive start. Maybe they were sitting back saying, okay, we made the first move on the first map, you know, when we played previously. Now let's slow it down. Let's see if they respond. Let's see if they bring something like that. They go all in. They haven't. You know, you know, Unity, if anything, they do have nerves of steel. You know, they may be not the most cohesive team, and we can say that all day long, but it does not mean that they will run into these situations hap-handedly. A couple of shells are being exchanged back and forth, but nothing connecting. It's all a little bit of blind fire more than anything, and a couple of spots being made. I think even Fall did just get an eyesight, but he also gets a shell full, so it does go down, and we have seen the fact that NOA have lost 2 of their tier 1s now, but I feel at this point it's still a big risk for either side to make a move on a small advantage like that.
And you know, this is classic Unity. They tried something at the beginning, it didn't work out, they didn't catch anything out, and they're going to sit back and wait. We've seen this before countless times. We've seen it in Season 2 when they drawed something like 9 times. I think it was Season 2, 9 times on Ensk. So yeah, that's happened before. I think it was like 4 hours of games on Ensk. So yeah,
dear sweet
obviously
Lord.
That can't happen here, but still, that's Unity in a nutshell on this map. Lucikel, Rhino pushing forwards. The deadlock has been broken a little bit because of that tier 1 kill on Evenfall. It opens the map up a little bit for Unity, and Lucikel, he's been opened up as well with a brilliant shot from Red Bull, the star player from NOA.
Yeah, and he's clearly living up to that sort of reputation here. He's still, you know, hanging around. He's waiting this one out because we don't have the tier all that we do within Europe. On occasion, we use that. And in this one, it's all or nothing, cap or not. Otherwise, it does just come through as a draw here. 35 seconds left. We do see, you know, Unity happy to move around now, happy to find some challenges because they know they can still keep at least a couple of players safe. I think we can near on assume this will be drawn out, and we'll be looking towards map number 2 because, you know, Artie's there. Theodore is there, Rhino, all these guys are, you know, they're close, but they're just not going to walk into the trap that maybe NOA is setting.
Yeah, they're not going to go face first into the unknown. That's the worst thing you can do in this situation with only 10 seconds left. So it does look like this will be a draw as we head into our second map. So Ensk is a draw. Both teams receiving 1 point here. Himmelsdorf is the next one. Remember, that's the one NOA actually ended up winning against Unity. So a little bit of a bold play from Unity's point of view. Because if anything, you want to win the map which you've won against other teams on, and you can have a better chance of winning on. You don't want to go to the next round against a team that's beaten you before, only like an hour beforehand on that map, and that was Himmelsdorf. So nerves of steel from Unity, but NOA still smiling, and hopefully they'll be able to have a repeat of that brilliant performance we saw.
Yeah, most certainly. And I do want to point out is if it does go to, you know, Assault at the end of this, you know, if it does come down that way, the work that Red Bull did then just on his own pretty much gave them the damage to be able to, you know, look forward to maybe keeping the advantage if they have another slow second map. If they don't feel like, you know, that's where their options lay. You know, he could bring them into that and they can pick up the, you know, the second best of 3 through that method. But still, it's a long way off. These guys still have a lot of maps in between, and we do have obviously Himmelsdorf up next. Now I think we can talk a lot about theory crafting towards this one and what we can expect to see, because we didn't see the usual NOA on this map. This, you know, we saw a very aggressive start. We saw a very standard start, actually, tell a lie. They did start very normally, and then they kind of evolved into this aggressive push down the banana line. 2 tanks initially, wasn't it? It was, I think it was the 2 IS-3s just kind of edging in. We saw a bit of an exchange on the hill, then everyone piled down. It was pretty much this kind of complete engulfing move. And then that one player, I believe it was Red Bull actually, round the back, he was out of position initially, but then he got into the spot where he could literally hold the rotate. And it was really well played. And I don't know if it was, I dare to say it, dumb luck. I don't think it was. I think that was planned. But we haven't seen that on any other map. And I'm kind of curious where that's gone. On Hillsdorf, I thought, this is a team that could beat these guys quite happily. If they can pull that off, they keep that aggression up, they keep showing they're talented, and they have backup plans, they have that secondary fallback initiative, they can do something here. But that just kind of seemed to be on Himmelsdorf. Why do you think that was? Do you think it might have been just a bit of luck falling on their side?
It was luck. I don't even know if such a thing exists at this level. Yeah. I don't think it exists at all. It's more about statistics and maths. I think at the end of the day, Red Bull is an experienced player. He was in the right place at the right time, and he knew it. A couple of seconds before, and he would have driven out too far, and he would have got taken down. A couple of seconds later, he wouldn't have helped his team so much. He wouldn't be able to block the aim because if he wanted, he was trying to go forwards and take down that one tank. But Unity probably going to choose the other side this time, actually starting from the south instead of the north. And we'll have to wait and see for that one. But that would be the wise choice from them, so they can really, or maybe they just want to practice from the north, so they could choose that as well. The safer bet would be from the south, as you obviously haven't lost from that side. And as Wilkie, our analyst, said, you choose the side of the map as opposed to the map. But I can't help but feel Himmelsdorf is more of an exception to that rule because it is such a balanced map. You look at it, on the face of it, it's literally a 1-for-1.
Yeah.
And it plays so differently depending on the teams and the tactics they come up with. It's almost impossible to really think of it as a 1-to-1 map. But it is really symmetrical. Obviously, there's differences here and there, but generally it plays the same from both sides. That makes it a brilliant map for esports. The map, which has pretty much stayed in since day one, we've changed the map pool a lot. Loads of regions changed the map pool a lot, but Himmelsdorf has always been that soldier, and there's a reason for that.
Yeah, indeed, and still, I find it hard to feel that side bias is that important. Obviously, I haven't been a high-end player in this game, but in several other interviews, I'll talk to teams, and bias can be completely negated by one strategy only one team does. So you may have a bonus to starting on the north or in the south or any other position, but one good strat, one good knowledgeable position of the opponent's team, and all the bias that is there can be undone. And we've seen that in Assault. Every time we've seen that game, it's ended in a way that none of us expected. It's been that day. Group A was insane. It's certainly worth going and watching back. I believe the VODs are actually already up pretty much, so certainly worth looking for and checking those out. Make sure you head over to thegrandfinals.com and have a little look towards that one. Clearly, no, just chilling, having a laugh, having a good time. I think we're telling... I think someone broke something, is what I'm reading. Kicking PCs does not help, according to Artie. 20, yeah, he's breaking stuff. So we're going to give him a moment to unbreak things. But while we do, as I said, map bias, I've never read into it. I think the biggest people who've kind of told me that were one of the top teams from another game who literally told me they will look at the weaknesses within that side and try and negate them in every single way possible. They will spend hours practicing that and making sure that, okay, let's say a team will always go for the side. There's this advantage to it. How can we get around that? And there's always ways. These people are so creative at times. Some of the strategies we saw coming out through just the regular online season was incredible. Steps being innovated to kind of sitting all the way back in this almost trap-like position and having people drive into it. That insane setup with the 4-1-6 in the play when it was sitting right at the far back and they drew them over the furthest railroad line and had this perfect setup waiting. There's so many variations you can do within World of Tanks maps, and it's completely up to the teams. One team may do something perfectly beautiful that's creative and ingenious, but it can be undone by just standard good play. So you've got to be something special to be able to change the meta, but don't get me wrong, it can certainly be done. And I think NOA proved that an unexpected thing can really push things beyond what we expect. So hopefully the technical issues will be resolved soon, and you can stop listening to me because I don't like listening to me, so I don't know why you guys are doing it. I feel bad for you almost, and that's why we have laughter here. So how you doing, buddy?
I'm fine. I'm just going to add some normality to the whole situation. But I think you do like...
Thanks, pal.
No problem, bro. I think you do like listening to you. Everyone else likes listening to you. You're amazing.
Well, you know, to get away from us, because we're sick of us, we're going to give you someone who's a lot cooler than we are, who's a lot nicer than we are. We're going to pass back over to the analysis desk while they fix things to just give you a little bit of an idea of how, you know, these guys are doing. They're chilling now. They've been watching the games. They got to watch, you know, a good first game. And obviously, we need to talk to Melly some more. We've barely seen her today. She's always been in the camera, but we need to hear from that lovely lady herself. So we're going to head back over to the social media desk and the Incredible experts.
Wow, thanks, Pansy. That was quite a lot of nice compliments, and everybody loves listening to you and laughter. Anyways, we do apologize about the technical issues, guys, but we always want to have these players playing to their utmost capability. And so with that being said, first game is going to Red Rush Unity. Not too much that we can delve into, and except maybe what NOA can bring, but I want to talk to Melly a little bit. Melly, you've been seeing lots of different tweets throughout this event, lots of different social media interaction.
Well, while Lemon Train was playing, it was pretty clear for whom the community was rooting, but suddenly it all mixed up. They're still rooting for Lemon Train from tomorrow.
Yeah.
But of course, the community is split. A lot of people liked seeing NOA play that strong, and they're really excited about the next match.
It's the story of the underdog that we see in almost any sports title, esports title. And it is really cool to see because a lot of people sometimes when they go into a broadcast they're not familiar with, or the game they're not familiar with, they'll choose the underdog. And NOA still has a chance, but they're 1 point away from going home.
But everything is still possible, right? So
Such
the
an
perfect
optimistic
Cinderella story can be written. And yeah, people like seeing stuff like that. It is always, well, and it's still offline World of Tanks, right? Everything can happen. We saw that already. So, and we're still waiting for the next match to begin. But I asked earlier how people actually are enjoying our show. So how are they watching at home? And well, I posted a picture how I am watching. It was with a really small screen. Standing right there on the floor, but oh, sorry, that was the wrong button. So let's roam through some pictures from people at home, I guess.
Okay.
We have some. Well, there is actually someone sitting at school and watching our production. Thank you very much for
great
this
concentration,
dedication, man. And yeah, sometimes Well, if I reckon my school time, there are definitely some classes which are less interesting than what's happening today. So.
It is very important. Well, I can ask any professor would see if the headphones are on during class. What are you doing? I'm taking notes. What's the last thing I said?
Exactly.
T32 no cons.
A lot of.
You wouldn't be wrong.
A lot of cool setups actually. So we see a lot of new, good laptops, nice, clean places. Well, my desk doesn't look like that, to be honest.
Yeah, very organized. Very organized.
And yeah, whilst playing, it is awesome. That's the kind of people we need. Right, we have in our community actually, and thank you very much for that. Keep the pictures coming. I may have 1 or 2 bonus codes for you guys at home if you send me nice pictures. If you're nice to me, I'm nice to you. It's as easy as it is. And yeah, that was pretty much all from my side. Join our Twitter networks, join our Facebook network, be a part of our community, get involved. We love reading and hearing from you.
All right, thank you very much, Melly. Hashtag the grand finals all weekend long. All right, gentlemen, the commentators are ready to go because I believe the game is ready. Let's kick it on over to our commentating team.
Thank you so much, Clutch. And it's awesome hearing from Melly and seeing all those incredible setups. And yes, that desk is substantially tidier than mine. Mine is a complete bomb site compared to that. I'm pretty sure he cleaned it up for the picture, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he just took all the beer bottles.
Yeah,
and the
that's all been
pizza.
like washed away.
I mean, there's literally not a desk in the world that doesn't have 1 beer bottle and 1
like a cup of
Domino's
tea.
pizza just
That's
somewhere.
just your desk you're describing, pretty much, isn't it, buddy? But no, once
Pretty
got
much.
cups of tea on there, that's like, oh, I'll get up tomorrow.
Last
but
night's
anyway,
kebab.
Anyway, away from kebabs, let's get back to World of Tanks because we are getting ready for the ever beautiful Winter's Himmelsdorf. And it does look absolutely stunning for a map, and it looks always refreshing to your eyes after seeing the same Himmelsdorf time in, time out, and there's this new kind of look to it, and even the tanks look kind of pretty on there. So
it's pretty cool.
It is really cool.
Completely over your head.
No,
but
no,
anyway.
I just don't indulge in your very, very bad puns. See, it's like encouragement when people laugh at it, so you just try and not.
But
Dear
no one
Lord.
laughs. I mean, I just do it anyway.
Is that why your name's Laughter? Just the
Pretty
irony of it
much,
all.
yeah.
Anyway, ladies and gents, Red Rush Unity up against NOA. At the moment, well, the first map was a draw. But last time around, this is where NOA decided, you know what, we're going to kick it up a gear and go absolutely crazy. Can they do it again? We can only wait and find out, as they will be starting in the north in the red, and the Red Rush Unity will be in the south in blue. So what are we seeing so far from these guys?
So NOA is actually heading pretty standard tactic, a couple towards the 8 line, more towards the middle, and one, I believe the same X600 heading over towards the left. Same goes for Unity, putting quite a lot of tanks over towards the 1, 2, 3 line, which is obviously the preferred line to go when you're playing on this map. You send one tank up, usually a 5100 with a T1, so you can get the spots out, you can get that combination with the T1 going forwards, getting the early spots. And it doesn't look like Unity is actually winning that game. The rest of their tanks over towards the left, as I said, obviously one tank in the middle, that's Rhino. He's going to be going 1-to-1 against the infamous Red Bull, so he's going to be very careful. And, you know, this duke between the middle and the IS-3s, you can't turn your turrets because it's going to get penned. You've still got plenty of penetration, 265 on that BL9. And also, if you use HE ammo, you can still do like 100, 150 HP if you hit that turret. So that's what these two are going to be doing. You know, at this level of play, even 50 HP, even 1 HP can mean the difference between a win and loss. Even fall in a great position, spotting out Diador and Nuclear. And he's got to be careful because he is going to get spotted. He does shoot, obviously shooting does initiate that spotting check immediately. But Unity have that hill. They have the left side. The middle is contested. Whilst, let's say, NOA, they've kind of spread their tanks pretty much the same as Unity, but they've also got a couple of pigeonhole because they have been spotted in J1, J2, so it's hard for them to cross without Unity getting the crossfire.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a stalemate almost. Once again, we're seeing this polarization of these maps. It's near on mirrored if you look at it. If you cut it right down, you know, in between the E line and maybe the F, and you can see these guys going to the very similar positions, playing very smartly. And I think it's credit to NOA, because everyone looks at the Russian giants and go, these guys are the best in the world. You know, whether it be your Navis or whomever you may be referring to, Russia is generally considered the top people to be beaten. But Korea is, well, South Korea is really showing what they're made of here. They can keep up in tactics. Their players are certainly capable. It's just, can they get that execution? I feel that's the one thing that kind of holds them back a little bit, is they don't have that fight coordination that we see coming in after the years and years of play. And once again, we are seeing this man in a very similar spot here as last time, but I wonder if he goes a little bit better this time around.
He's got to make sure that he just play it a little bit. Analyk has been a bit shaky, I think. You know, Analyk said he was obviously an all-round player, but I'm not sure if he's been entirely convincing, but Dido caught out.
Yeah, taken low really early on. 654 HP left towards him. You could argue that, you know, RT would have the same damage, and, you know, Chia Papa is now in trouble as well, down on 10-6-3, but still, you know, Dido doesn't get caught out. He's been that guy who's been literally that horrible beastie tank towards the end of this. We are seeing a bit of movement coming from NOA.
Yeah, they're going to be pushing forwards up the 1-2-3 line and trying to get themselves into good position. RT World is taking a lot of damage. Dido as well. Those two are pretty much at the same HP, but Red Bull is down to 706. That's Rhino in the middle playing perfectly, and also Shiro Papa has taken a one shot. He's down to 1063. Lucikel has got the corner, and that's a perfect position for the I3 because it is hull down and he can side scrape. And at this point in time, NOA has committed. They can't retreat because Unity are going to be straight on the rotate, straight going forwards. And Analyk up the hill is going to stop NOA going over towards the middle. But what NOA have is they have the commitment going forwards. They have Shio Papa going over towards the right side, so he's going to be able to flank around. That's what won them on the previous time they played against Unity on Himmelsdorf, that rotation. This time it's a 5100, but that's what the tank does best. It flanks, it gets around behind the or next to the team, and really just unloads that 6 shells for a total of 1.8k damage, obviously, if it does penetrate.
So we are now literally on a knife's edge. You know, if NOA push any further, they will be going in to the Unity. There will be meeting up, there will be shots exchanged, but it's all about those rotates, those little bits of movement around the side of the map. Keep your eyes on, obviously, the players on the top of that hill to the right side of the map, and obviously the player down by the banana line right now, because those two could, you know, really change the game. As it's almost a stalemate here. Not, you know, if Canny goes around that corner, he'll be picked up by 2 players at least, and it's such a hard position to be in. As you said, though, if they back away, it's very easy for them to be almost manipulated and pounced on instantly. You know, there's a good spot, good positioning coming up from the Red Rush Unity. These guys are ready, they're set to go, and they look like they want to pick this up in 2.
They want to try and get the win as immediately as possible. Red Bull is out of position there. Camp on the is going to be taken down if he doesn't be careful. That's both tier 1s out for the side of Unity. Obviously, the tier 1 being very important tank on Himmelsdorf.
Massively
it can cap, and it has won many of a game. And now it's look like NOA, although definitely down on HP, up in terms of tanks, up in terms of those TT1s. And Unity have to be careful that the one tier 1 LB, who has been pretty good to be honest this day, he could be on the rotate, and he does look like he's heading up around, so he's probably going to go where the ping is coming out, the A line, the A1 line, come around and really flank up into Unity's base. At the same time, the rest of NOA will go forwards. They'll try and collapse on Lucikel, which in my opinion would be disastrous. Maybe come up towards the middle and use the hull down in the middle in that square area to their advantage, and really try and get the shots down through the houses. Lucikel once again playing perfectly in the IS-3, but for Unity, I'm not sure exactly what they're doing. I mean, Alec is coming off the hill, fair enough, but they're a team that can really put the pressure on to NOA right now. They're in the driving seat in terms of HP. RT World and Red Bull both one-shots for that BL9. They can push forwards in almost any respect, give or take, you know, with their ability taken into consideration, and win this game. But they just don't seem to want to do that. They're taking everything in its stride and making sure that it get all the T's crossed and all the I's dotted before they do make that move.
Well, they're doing something. They are moving out of position. We are going to see the fact that LB did move around, as you mentioned, but to a bit of a different spot, and he's actually calling out the rotate that, you know, Unity may be going for here. This could be a very interesting position to be in, and once again, being perfectly useful. Yeah,
he's a really nice player in that tier 1. Shio Papa taking another big shell, a couple of shells actually, 475 left on his AMX 5100, 4 shells left in that auto. Analytic finding a perfect position onto both LB and RT World, and they have to push forwards. NOA has spotted that out, so they're going to be able to go on the rotate. And Diador, look at that HP, he's beyond a one-shot. He's a tier 1 one-shot.
Yeah, and they have to do this. They have 2 tanks flanking round the back. We saw them in position before, and the HP is not ideal for NOA. They have to make this move count. Red Bull is so low, 125. Shio Papa is down low as well, 475. And they've got to make the stick. Dido cannot get a shot. He doesn't, can he? Denies. And hope still remains for NOA, but still, there's flanking rotates going in from, I believe, who was that off the hill? Yes, it was Eltilish coming around the side, and he could catch out Red Bull here, who is low. He's waiting. He's going to try and do what he can, but it seems as though it's almost too little too late, and it is. There's the reply shot coming through. So left in a 4v4, and really, this is still up in the air, though. I don't think this is drastically in Tom's favor, and a nice little cheeky shot coming out from RT World there, as Shio Papa looks to maybe get involved, but doesn't want to overextend, and I don't blame them. So that's a 1-for-1. And overextension is what's going to win or lose this game for these two teams. Lucikel, Rhino, both on pretty healthy amount of HP, are going to push forward, try and take down White Morpho. Yeah, White Morph is now having to scamper away with his tail between his legs. He just got caught in the heels there as Candy now cannot make that cross without surely receiving damage. Rhino is just up on reload, as is Luciq, and now Candy goes for the shots. He's going to be trying to engage on these guys. A little bit brave, if you ask me, then taking on 2 tanks to 1, and obviously he's got White Morph there as well as backup, but still, there's a player looking to flank right round the side, and here comes a little bit of fire. It is RT just doing some real damage, just causing pain to NOA, forcing RT and Shio Papa to move up. They're being pincered in. There's 3 tanks now remaining for NOA. It's surely a done deal. It's 2. Only RT World and Shio Papa left. There's nothing that can say. RT World moving in. Shio Papa trying to work. He's been held in place, and Red Rush Unity are seconds away from the victory as RT World is surrounded by the opponents. Very little to do but die, ran from either side, and they have a Unity. They've done the victory. Serious faces are on here, but still, they did the job they needed to do, and it's on to tomorrow for them. It's a brilliant win for them, indeed. Going through to tomorrow's games through Group B, joining Lemming Train there, so massive congratulations to them, and commiserations do go to the Korean team of NOA. They did put up one hell of a fight, and taking down those Asian teams and also the Chinese teams is nothing to be sniffed at. But Unity at the end of the day is just full of pub stars, full of excellent players. But having said that, I'm not impressed by these guys at all. I think they had lots of opportunities compared to, let's say, Synergy, who even lost to Lemming Train. Yes. They're not even on the same level. Lemming Train would completely obliterate Unity if they did play like that. But maybe Unity is playing the smart game, the long game, not giving any of their proper tactics away, not willing to do anything like that.
which is a fair point, to be honest.
It really is. And to be fair, in the last moments of Himmelsdorf then, Unity started to be able to work those fight coordinated moments. When they're always pinching, they're always on the flank, they're always getting players behind the opponents. You may argue that NOA played a little bit lackluster there on occasion. They didn't watch the rotates, they didn't hold the flank, excluding the one player who did, the tier 1 who did hold it. But there you go, the handshakes are coming in. People were worried like, oh, this is rude. Rudeness is happening. But do not worry, there is good sportsmanship between these guys. Obviously, language barriers, they're not easy to get through, but obviously no hard feelings there, and really well played between them. NOA can be proud of what they've done, and I've been told, some teams don't like it when the casters say it, but they truly can be. They caused true upset within that first map on Himmelsdorf. It's showing that, the Russian teams, they're not untouchable. You can easily do some damage if you do what you know how to do, and if you play it well, if you play with true heart, and NOA really did. And congratulations to those guys for making it to this point already, causing a lot of trouble, but even pictures being taken in the booth. That's pretty awesome. But still, credit to them. They've had a great tournament. Maybe not to the expectation of others, but still, I think they've been proud of what they've achieved, and clearly walk away with things to learn. After a map where you pick up the victory, you know that you've done well on something. And you've gone, okay, well, we were able to take down the clear-cut favourites from that group. So there's something to go back home and work on.
Exactly. And, Clutch said it perfectly. The Korean teams do catch up awful quick on every esports title out there. So I think we'll see NOA really get themselves into the swing of things, and they know what they need to improve on. They know what they need to do to make themselves a better team from here on out. So
yes,
hopefully they're going to continue and really get that passion, desire to become a top team. Obviously, we've still got Arete to see tomorrow, the top seed from the Korean region. So Arete has beaten NOA every single time pretty much they played, at least in all the finals. So that is the team to be looking for towards the Koreans. They practice a hell of a lot. They really do hammer it home. So I'm interested to see what they can provide tomorrow, and maybe that'll give us a clue of what the Koreans can really provide in terms of World of Tanks esports.
Yeah, and it's only the beginning for them. I had the opportunity to meet up with Arete out in South Korea in Seoul, and they're telling me that they just they love the game. Truly, they absolutely love playing it together, and at any opportunity they take it up and they go out as a team and they play. And if that can transfer in and really start bringing this to that professional level that we know can be truly accommodated within South Korea, within esports, then they're a new threat on the scene. If they're already at this level, and they'll happily tell you, we want to do well for our fans, because these guys truly invest in us. We have the weight of our home crowd on our shoulders, and they do not want to let these guys down. And it means a lot to them. So hopefully they can step up to the plate and show what they're made of. NOA's done it almost. They almost knocked Unity out of this one. After that first map, it was like, oh my god, this could be happening. I thought Group A was the one that caused a lot of upsets. It's beginning again. But they handled it well. Unity came out pretty strong in the end. They showed up. They did what we know they can do. But I think we need to hear it from themselves, because they're a bit of a one-man band on occasion. It's hard to hear from them sometimes. But I think we should hear out exactly how it felt from their point of view, because they truly stepped up in that second game then and showed what they're made of. So let's head back over to the stage with Mitch waiting with the interview.
Thank you very much, guys. I'm here on the stage with Anatolic, of course, from the Red Rush Unity, and of course our lovely translator here. Obviously, I have a ridiculously hard to understand accent, so I understand that. However, so I just wanted to ask the Anatolic how they're feeling after today. Did everything go the way they expected it to?
Что ты чувствуешь после игры? Какие эмоции?
Первую игру снова мы расслабились, но сейчас мы собрались и играли очень надежно, уверенно и сделали то, что должны были сделать еще в прошлой игре.
Okay. We were relaxed at the first game, and after one lose, we find our strengths and made a good game.
And again, tomorrow, looking ahead, obviously you've made it into the main tournament. Who is going to be your biggest challenge? Who are you most afraid of going up against?
На завтра кто наш самый ожидаемый противник, как ты думаешь?
Virtus.pro.
Okay.
Yep. Virtus.pro. Yeah, speaks for itself. Thank you very much, the Anatolic. Thank you, and thank you for your assistance as well. Well, I think that about says volumes. I think about where Red Rush Unity are looking tomorrow. Virtus.pro being their biggest challenge, and maybe some people would have expected to hear Na'Vi from them, but maybe they have something secret prepared. Nonetheless, we're going to head over to our experts now to wrap this one up. Clutch, you know how it is.
Thank you, Uber. All right, gentlemen. Red Rush Unity, no surprise here. What I was surprised about, they played sloppy. And we heard Laughter talk about it a little bit. I'm going to agree with him here. Tactics-wise, I mean, it's anybody's guess what they're trying to pull. But when it came down to straight fundamentals, Anatolic almost made me very upset. There was one part where you don't turn your turret until you're past the cover. He could have got the kill, but he was turning his turret already. I'm like, what are you doing, man?
Yeah, they were looking like they were just working off stuff.
Yeah.
Let's finish this. Why don't you die yourselves? Why do we have to shoot you all the time?
No team expecting to progress further tomorrow can have that type of mentality and attitude. But besides that, they did win. They beat NOA. NOA, we got to take our hats off to you. It was a hard-fought series, playing them twice in this rematch. But teams, no matter how tired they get, no matter how easy they think their opponent is, you have got to play your best because it allows you to stay in that mental sphere, that zone where you're clicking as a team. And when things go wrong, it is so easy to leave that zone, to leave that area of confidence that you've built as a team and just say, to hell with it, we're not going to make it, let's just do whatever. It's really easy to do that. It's very hard to keep your composure, and teams are going to have to keep that composure if they're going to stand a chance against teams such as Virtus Pro, Fnatic, Na'Vi, and others that are the #1 seeds from the different regions.
Yeah. Every single team here must remember that these are the best teams in the world. So you need to respect your opponents. They can take you down if you overlook them and think you're better than them. They can bite your back pretty hard.
Yeah, they can, and it happened with NOA. But again, it's a late night, it's a long day, and we've been here for quite a while, gentlemen. But let's go ahead and look at the brackets and the stories that have happened today. Looking at Group A, first off, it was the Lemming Train versus Synergy, and Lemming Train was able to win that series 2-1. They faced Simp, who took down Team Warsaw in a surprise upset. Simp took out Lemming Train 3-2. In the lower bracket, it was Synergy and Team Warsaw. Synergy won out the match. Synergy lost to Lemming Train, and then it was the rematch for the decider. Lemming Train won both those best-of-3 series, and they continue on in the tournament tomorrow. Taking a look at the second bracket, it was NOA versus Energy Pacemaker. NOA was able to win the series. Red Rush Unity took out You Are Dead 2-0, and then they went on to defeat NOA. In the lower bracket, Energy Pacemaker fell to You Are Dead. You Are Dead fell to NOA. The rematch happened, the last match of the night, the decider match. Red Rush Unity takes the series 2-1. Gentlemen, hell of a day one so far for the World of Tanks Global Grand Finals. Any closing words from day one?
These have been okay. These have been awesome games. Like the Group A, it was a brilliant game, and LTR has been building up the momentum, and I'm really waiting to see how far it will bring them. Unity didn't look that strong, but we'll see. How will they stop up tomorrow?
I think they're gonna get their heads in the right position. I think they're gonna be great tomorrow. Yeah. I can count on it. And if not, I'll buy you guys some ice cream. All right, that's
okay. Double bets already.
Steps and Unity's performance, Mr. Mojo.
Well, we all knew that the first group will be a death group, but no one expected Simp to do what they did. They are like heroes of that group, and they had it just this far of making out of that group, which would really be unimaginable almost. Of the second group, I'm just disappointed. I really expected all those Asian teams to just play really more aggressive. NOA showed some of that, but other teams didn't. They should have brought everything they can, whatever they can think of, to just pass Unity. Unity, who was absolute favorite.
We have PvP Super Friends tomorrow, along with Rete, and I'm sure we're going to see that type of aggression for tomorrow. Melly, you have seen lots of tweets today.
Oh, yes.
So tell us a little bit more about how people can follow us and what to look forward to for tomorrow.
It's really easy. Head over to twitter.com/WGLEU. Become a part of our network and get a live feed from our matches. So I was tweeting the whole day, so people that actually couldn't watch the streams, of whatever reason, had the chance to follow the matches. And people liked it, hopefully. If you didn't, tell me. If you did, tell me as well. I love hearing from you. And the participation was great. Huge discussions, a lot of pictures, and it was amazing. My job is only as easy as it is because of you guys participating that much, getting involved, becoming part of our show. And, well, thank you very much for that. And a huge shout out to our mods in our channel, in our Twitch channel. They did amazing handling from time to time, over 20K people. So props to you.
Yeah. All right, thank you very much, Melanie. We look forward to your continual interaction with the amazing and interactive crowds that we have for World of Tanks. Well, that does it for all of us here at the Analyst Desk. We're going to kick it on over to Uber to close out the night.
Thank you very much. I'm joined here by Carmack as well. Carmack, we've seen teams rise, we've seen them fall. What a big day of World of Tanks.
It was a great day. I mean, every tournament you always want an upset, and we got an upset in the first group, and it was a local team, the Lemming Train, beating Synergy, the favorites, and then beating Simp as well. They had to go through both opponents twice. Big feat, support of the crowd, and it's going to be really, really hot tomorrow as well.
And that's right, of course, in Group B, we did see the Red Rush Unity go straight on through, not without a little bit of competition, especially from NOA. Unfortunately, You Are Dead and NG Pacemaker weren't quite able to make the cut, but definitely still turned up and showed us what they had. But tomorrow, it's going to be another big one.
Yeah, the Russians and the Poles, and definitely we can expect a full house again, and it's going to be a big day.
12 p.m. Central European time, ladies and gentlemen, right here. So same time, same place. Get over to www.thegrandfinals.com. Get your voting in. Check out the schedule for tomorrow. It's going to be jam-packed. We will go over it a little bit more as well. And guys, the conversation doesn't end here as well. Let's take it to the Twitter sphere. Hashtag #TheGrandFinals. Get involved in the conversation. There's plenty to talk about today, no doubt. But in the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure. We'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place. Have a good night.